Hey guys, Martin here bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to talk a little bit about what we could expect to see from the Part 1 banner lineups for the 9th anniversary, obviously going to be starting in the next few days over on JP. Now, the interesting thing with this one is that we of course have gone back to the Dokkan Festival and then Carnival sort of setup that we had for the 2022 worldwide celebration. So Broly is going to be a Dokkan Fest exclusive LR, and then the Gogeta is going to be a Carnival LR, which means the banners are going to have very different formats, right? So just like the actual worldwide celebration itself, we are going to have one Dokkan Fest in Part 1 and then one in Part 2, and then one Carnival in Part 1 and Part 2, which means the formats are going to be split up slightly because, of course, with the anniversary, the Dokkan Festival banners do include a lot of dual Dokkan Fest units because it's one of the major places where they can return, obviously, during another dual Dokkan Festival. So instead, they will be split between the parts. Now, the thing, obviously, that we have absolutely no way to know at this point is going to be how they will choose to split the banners and which units they will put on which parts. So, for example, we have here to look at last year's anniversary banner, the Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta. And as we can see when we look down, like, we're going to cover these units, of course, as we go through which units will be on this banner. But we can see the previous year's LR, which is the God Duo. And then, of course, on the GT Duo banner, we had the LR Super Saiyan 4 Duo. Now, obviously, when it comes to these banners now being split between the two parts, we have no way to know which one of the two of any of these dual Dokkan Fests that are going to feature as featured units. We have no way to know which one of the two they will choose. So I've picked one, obviously, just for the visual purposes. We can talk about the other one as well. And then, obviously, we can maybe talk about some theories about why they would put each particular unit on a banner or not. But obviously we are going to see certain dual Dokkan Fests, and it will just be a case of we don't really know which one of the two will be on that banner specifically. I've kind of used the format of the Buu Duo banner as the Part 1, so any units on here that would be repeated, I've put those units as opposed to their counterparts, but obviously as I say, we have no way to know that. So we're going to skip over the Gamma 1, because Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 were in a very unique situation where they released in October in 2022 as a bonus dual Dokkan Fest that then came out on Global a week or so later. So they didn't really have any sort of pre-existing time slot. There isn't like a 2023 version of that dual Dokkan Fest that could fit onto this banner. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the first one, the first big slot, as you can see here, obviously is the LR STR Cooler. And of course, the reason why he is on there is because he is the worldwide celebration unit most previously released. And of course, he was the Part 1 in that previous format that we had. So I, of course, have picked up on the Super Saiyan Blue boys here that fuse into Vegito. Now, of course, with Broly being extreme and being a Super Bosses leader, which we already know, we could theorize that Zamasu would be the unit to be on his banner, because obviously he will be on his team. But one of the things that we've noticed quite a lot when they do these banners is they often split these units up in ways so that they want to try and get you to summon not only on both banners in Part 1, but they also want you to summon on the banners in Part 2. So, for example, you know, if the opposite banner, well, we know the opposite banner to this is going to be Gogeta, who transforms into Blue Gogeta. Some people might be only really excited to summon for him. Maybe they're not super hyped to summon for Broly. However, the Blue Boys, even if they don't end up being on Gogeta's 200% lead, they will share a lot of teams with him and a lot of links. And if you're somebody who didn't pick them up during the during the worldwide celebration, you're going to want to get a copy of them, right? So by them putting this unit on the Broly banner, that's going to encourage people who are more so only really interested in summoning for Gogeta to summon for Broly, just because obviously these guys will be on the banner as well. Whereas if you put Zamasu on the banner, you're probably leaning towards like an extreme team anyway. You're going to be summoning on the Broly banner, because then Zamasu is good on Broly's team, so you just need to summon on that banner to bolster Broly's team, right? So I feel like it does make sense to have these guys on part 1. We've seen them do this even in like previous Worldwide with that Cooler banner, where we had like a Super type LR on Cooler's banner and then an Extreme LR on the Super Saiyan's banner in part 2. So we definitely could see that kind of thing repeated, and I think that is probably what we will end up seeing here, right? So the Worldwide Celebration LR is always going to be included. It's the first place for them to come back anyway as like the major first return. So I definitely think, well, we definitely will see them, but I think the Blue Boys are going to be on Broly's banner as opposed to the Zamasu. Then, of course, we have the Worldwide Celebration LR from the year before that. So, of course, that means we would go from the Vegito back to the Cooler. The reason why I went for Cooler over the Super Saiyans is just because, as I say, I've used this one as sort of a template, and this is the one that had Cooler on it. Obviously, the other unit would be the AGL Super Saiyans. Now, they, of course, share teams with both Gogeta and Broly, because they are both going to be on the Super Saiyans category. So the Super Saiyans might be a more worthwhile choice. Cooler, they've both aged a little bit, but I think it largely depends on Broly's leader skill, because we know he's going to have super bosses. If his other leader skill is movie bosses, then it would make sense for Cooler to be on there. I don't think Cooler or the Super Saiyans are as big a draw, which is why I think it's a different situation to them putting the Blue Boys on the banner instead of Zamasu. Whereas you put this guy on the banner because he's on Broly's leader skill potentially, and then that makes it less of a sting if he's pulled instead of, like, if you're going for Broly and his leader skill is super bosses and movie bosses, and then you pull the AGL Super Saiyans, it's not really much of a bonus, is it? Whereas obviously if this guy's on Broly's team and Broly's team is really, really good, then you could at least have a use for him. So that's Cooler takes up the Freezer slot on this previous anniversary banner. Because obviously, it goes without saying, right, the two units at the top are going to be Broly and whoever the side banner unit is. We'll talk about this Gamma slot afterwards. So then we're looking at the Blue Boys, Cooler, and then we get on to, this is of course the 7th anniversary LR, the God Duo. So this is where, if we're using the Boo Duo banner as the template, this is where we'll see the Boo Duo. Of course, the GT Duo will be on the other one, whichever way round they decide to do it. I know the GT Duo is the more popular of the two characters, so just like the Vegito Blue, they could put the GT Duo on the Broly banner to encourage people to summon more. Because if the part 2 is going to end up being, let's say it is Beast Gohan for the part 2 Dokkan Fest, people aren't going to need encouragement to summon on that banner anyway, right? They're going to want to summon on it regardless. So you want to put the unit that draws people to summon on the banner that maybe they weren't as hyped. And as much as Broly is hyped to me, and I'm sure, you know, if you're someone who's super hyped for Broly as well, this obviously doesn't apply to you, but I think out of the two character choices, if people are only going to summon on one banner in part 1, I think more people are going to lean towards Gogeta. So putting the units that are the most hype on the Broly banner would make a lot of sense. So this definitely could be the GT Duo instead, right? So that was the previous year LR from the 7-year. Then, of course, we saw the 6-year LRs. Now, that, of course, means that if we're going 7 and 6 on the 8-year banner, then, of course, it would make sense to go 8 and 7 on the 9-year banner. So that means we would see the gods if we're going by the thing, like I say, going by the template of the Boo Duo. It also does make sense because just like the Blue Boys from the Worldwide, these guys would be on a bunch of teams with the Gogeta. So if you summon on both banners in part 1, you're going to be able to build various different teams with characters that are going to share links with each other, because obviously these guys will potentially work well with Gogeta. I mean, these guys can still be kind of okay. They're not great against AoEs, especially after turn 1 when they lose their guard. But like if Gogeta ends up being like a crazy good slot 1 unit, maybe he buffs allies with his super attack effect or something, like these guys could still be decent. So if you're pulling them off of the Broly banner after you've already summoned for and pulled Gogeta, that could be a decent little bonus for your team as well. So I think we'll see the 7 years on here for sure, considering the 6 years were on here. And then, of course, the 5-year anniversary LRs were on this banner as well. And we know, of course, they ended up easy-Aing during the 8th anniversary. And we all expect to see the 6-year LRs easy-Aing during the 9th anniversary. So if we were going by the Buu Duo banner, we'd have Vegeta on there. Now, again, if we want to go by maximum hype, you'd probably put UI Goku on there, because after the STR UI Goku EZA, a lot of people are looking forward to the AGL UI Goku EZA, so we can start running the two of them together again like we did back when they were both new. So in terms of drawing more hype to the banner, if that's how we want to look at the Broly banner, this would be UI Goku, I believe, instead of Vegeta. I mean, I'm really hoping this Vegeta gets a good EZA and is really usable again. Either of them are going to share teams with Gogeta anyway, right? So because of the Realm of Gods and various links. This guy obviously links better with the potential Gogeta because we actually have things like Godly Power. I always forget, actually, this guy doesn't have Super Saiyan. But I think people would be more hyped to see UI Goku. But we are, as I said, just going by the template of this banner. And this one had the blue evolution on it, right? So that takes up all this top row so far, except for Gamma 1. And then we also have the STR Vegito down here, who is the even older Worldwide Celebration unit character. So if we were going by the same theory and going along the lines of the characters that were on this banner, then that would technically mean the return of Full Power Frieza again. Again, just like Cooler, depending on what Broly's leader skill is, this guy could end up being on his team. We're not going to see him EZA anytime soon, though, so unfortunately, he is just going to end up being one of those picks, right, where it's like a slot on the banner, which is just an older unit that you really don't want to be pulling when summoning on the anniversary banner, but we've got to have some older units on there, so Frieza will probably be on there as well. Then, of course, we have the GT Super Saiyans, which were an older Golden Week celebration, but they were the ones before, I think the one that was, yeah, it was Frieza, it was Cell and Goku and Gohan. I thought I'd opened up their page here, but apparently not. But this time slot would be, or sorry, this slot on the banner where Vegeta is would be Cell or Goku, the Goku and Gohan. Again, unfortunately, bit away from their EZAs, so not really going to be a great pull. They're just there to fill out the numbers on the banner and be a little bit of an older unit. Because, yeah, these guys are essentially just the Golden Week unit from a year after the GT Super Saiyans. Now, when it comes to the Gamma 1 and 2 time slot, the only other real sort of big dual Dokkan Fest, because it's way too early, of course, for Super Saiyan 3, Goku, and Hirudegarn to come back. But if they really want to make the anniversary banners hype, then I know they've returned again fairly recently, but having the actual Golden Week characters from 2023 come back on the anniversary banner, I think would be pretty hype. I think a lot of people would be excited to have another chance to pull Piccolo Jr. or 23rd World Tournament Goku, considering they are both still considered to be among the tier of like best TURs in the game currently. Obviously, depending on Broly's leader skill, he's not going to have Piccolo on there, depending on what he does end up getting as his categories. Because obviously this guy, not a movie boss, not a super boss. Broly, I believe, is not on Terrifying Conquerors. I guess Battle of Fate, right? If they give Broly that as a leader skill, this guy would be on there. And then, of course, this could be the 23rd World Tournament Goku instead. As we've mentioned before, there's always the possibility that Broly gets like a pure Saiyans part of his leader skill, which then Goku would be on. But I think that would increase the value and the hype of the banner tremendously if the Gamma 1 and 2 slot from the previous year was taken up by the Golden Week 23rd World Tournament unit. So in terms of how this would make this banner look, this is obviously, again, the 8th anniversary LR banner. So for the 9th anniversary Broly banner, this would be Broly's side banner unit. Then we'd have 23rd World Tournament Goku or Piccolo Jr. We'd have the Blue Boys or Zamasu. Then we'd have Cooler or the Super Saiyans. Then, of course, we've got the 8th anniversary LR, the Buu Duo or the GT Duo. Then, of course, the Gods or the Super Saiyan 4s. Then we have the Ultra Instinct Goku or Blue Evolution Vegeta. And then we have the Frieza or Namek Goku. And then the Cell or the Goku and Gohan. And then I guess one random featured SR who is a super attack fodder for somebody, right? I'm not sure who would get that desired spot there, but there you go. So that is what I think Broly's banner is going to look like. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. I think it's pretty much like cinched in because of the way this format is, right? All the dual Dokkan Fest that we've mentioned so far should all be featured. The only one that will be a bit of a wild card is the 23rd World Tournament units, and then of course whichever units are going to replace this slot here with the Vegeta, probably going to be the Cell and the Goku and Gohan, right? So moving on from that, of course, then we have the other banner is going to be a Carnival LR banner. So I did actually bring up, I think I've got the other one here as well. Yeah, 2 banners. So this is the one that is part 2 of the anniversary from last year. And of course is potentially going to be the same format as the part 1, because both banners will be the same as if they were both in part 2. It's just one's in part 1 and one's in part 2. So as always with these Carnival banners, we have the new featured Carnival LR. This will be Gogeta. And then we will have 6 other featured LRs, and then a couple of other featured TURs, so that in total there are 10 featured units. Now, Carnival LRs, as we get more Carnival LRs released into the game, we obviously need to get more Carnival LRs featured on these banners so that they have the opportunities to return. Because, you know, when this banner came out, this was the debut of Carnival LRs, so there were no other ones to be on the banner. Whereas now, we do want to try and get a few of them in there because these units don't return many times throughout the year. So obviously we need to get those back on here. Now, bearing in mind this was the format of the one from last year, and Carnival LRs had only just become a new thing, it obviously kind of goes without saying, right, that the Carnival LRs from the last anniversary will be on these banners, right? So the first featured unit is going to be Gogeta, of course, and then the next one is going to be either the Goku or the Gohan, depending which way around they want to do it for the first banner, right? Absolute shoe-in that these guys will be on there. They're the anniversary LRs from last year. They always come back the year after on the next banner, so these guys will be absolutely the second unit on the banner. Whether it's Goku or Gohan, of course, that remains to be seen. So next up, we basically need a bunch of featured LRs, but I wanted to try and get these Carnival LRs back in here again somewhere. So judging by the format again of last year, we probably will see the return of Super Saiyan Goku and Metal Cooler, just because, as I said, with these Carnival banners, these Carnival exclusive LRs that can only be on those banners need to be returning. Even if they are starting to become outdated and not the ones you particularly want to pull anymore, but just for people who don't have them, right, they need to be on these Carnival exclusive banners. So Goku and Metal Cooler, I believe, will be here. Again, depending on the Broly and Gogeta leader skills, it depends who we could see. You know, like whether either of them would be on Powerful Comeback. They're going to share categories like Super Saiyans. Obviously, Gogeta will share movie heroes, potentially Kamehameha, depending on Gogeta's categories and stuff. So Goku being on the banner for Gogeta, I think is definitely a good pick. And to be honest, he is still somewhat usable now. He can get caught out in the Dismal Future Red Zone, but I genuinely do think he still has some uses, especially with how powerful the Super Saiyans team is now. So he's definitely a solid option for the banner. And then, of course, we have another couple of slots that we need to fill. I do think we could see Omega come back. Now, obviously, he was on the Christmas Carnival LR banner for the Super Saiyans for JP. But, you know, it's way too early for the Super Saiyans to return on a banner. And we have to fill out this banner with other units, right? So I do think one of the banners could have this Omega, and then the other one have the STR Carnival Goku, because those are 2 single slot release Carnival LRs that aren't part of like a dual set, and obviously need to come back at some point, so they could both be on opposing banners. Even though Omega has only returned recently, I do think that is a thing that could happen, right? Is just have Omega on one, Goku on the other. Because if you have Goku on the other one, or this one, it kind of creates the, well, who do you put on the other one then? Because in terms of standalone Carnival LRs, the only other one is the LR Super Saiyans, and it's way too early for them to come back. So they might not be on there at all. It literally could just be the 8th anniversary Carnival LRs, Goku and Gohan, and then Tech Goku and Physical Metal Cooler, and then the other 3 featured LRs just be Yellow Coin LRs. I definitely think that is very possible because Omega returned recently, but it'd be cool if he was on there just for people to be able to get the chance to get these ones before they get super old, right? We don't want Carnival LRs only coming back like every 6 months, right? So I think that would be very cool. Now, one LR that we definitely will see, I think, on there is the STR UI Goku. He didn't get his own Easy A banner on JP, even though he just got his Easy A. So it seems like pretty much of a shoo-in that he is going to be featured on the Gogeta banner, right? So you can get the chance to get him if you haven't got him already. He's got his Easy A. He's very, very good. I think it's almost guaranteed that he's going to be on there, right? So in terms of a couple of other ones, I wanted to try and think about who shares categories with Gogeta, who fits the theme of what's going on in this first part. And there's a couple, because we have like God Goku, for example. He's a character that has a Pure Saiyans or Hybrid Saiyans lead. He can make a very good team. Unfortunately, Gogeta, of course, Fusion's not on Pure Saiyans, but he is a solid unit. He's on a lot of these categories like Realm of Gods. He's obviously on superheroes, because he's the version from the anime, so he's on superheroes, not movie heroes. And of course, Gogeta will be on movie heroes. I think he'll be on super. It's weird how they've done the later movies characters, because Gogeta will be on superheroes and movie heroes and Battle of Fate, which is not how they've done the categories for older characters. But this God Goku could definitely be on there. Going to share a bunch of links with him. He can still be okay, although he is heavily reliant on dodge in the current meta. If we get a new fairly difficult boss that's tech and doesn't disable dodge, he could still be kind of useful. But more so these LRs, I just tried to think of ones that would fit the theme. But another one that I would like to see on there that I really hope gets an Easy A during the anniversary is this unit, the Blue Kaioken Goku and the Blue Evolution Vegeta. This unit is absolutely like in line for an Easy A, would be very, very good to pull if they are going to get one during this anniversary. I think we absolutely could see this, right? With UI Goku getting his Easy A, then we know AGL UI and Int Blue Evolution are going to get theirs. If you throw this guy's Easy A in there as well, because they're a superheroes unit too, right? Which super is the overall theme of the anniversary. That brings that Universe 17 just like straight back into prominence, right? So I would really love to see these guys get an Easy A during the anniversary, and they could absolutely feature on the banner. Now, I didn't put too much thought, I'm not going to lie, into who the other units would be, because we've talked about our LRs, right? So this would be Gogeta, then we have the Goku from the year before, the Tech Carnival Goku. There's 4 more slots. Like I say, my examples were Omega, UI Goku, Blue Evolution, and God Goku. But, I mean, when you look at this, right, like, how does Cell fit the theme here for Goku? He doesn't. So it could just be any sort of random yellow coin LRs. Maybe Bulma's featured on one. That would be quite good. Super Boo, for example. And then we're just going to have a couple of random SSRs. I really don't know how to guess who they could be. It could be anyone. But yeah, definitely we'll expect to see Goku return, probably Tech Carnival Goku and Cooler, and then maybe we'll see Omega or STR Carnival Goku as ones as well. But in terms of yellow coin LRs, UI Goku for sure, and then potentially some of the other God Saiyans as well. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. What do you think the banner lineups will be? Which banner are you going to summon on first? Are you excited to summon on these? Let me know down below in the comment section. I'm building up some stones on my JP so I can do a few summons, but obviously I'll mainly be doing like the private server showcases for the new units, but it will be fun to summon on them. So let me know what you think the lineups will look like down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.